pastureless, strong, never yield. Spare me these lies, homegrown on these fields. If my troubles are acorns, my mighty use, the risk run the rule in the right way I rose. Standing in the back garden on the outside looking in, my bones burn riddles and spin. Standing in the back garden as the people pull the wire, the world was leveled in a blaze of fire, and the rivers run red though the earth turned its head. There's a murder of crows on the West River bed. Come to me, offer your hand, let me hold. Pull you to your feet lest your goals become cold. And I'll find you a star in the sky's darkened veil. If you find me afar through the wind in your sails. Standing in the back garden on the outside looking in, my bones burn riddles and spin. Standing in the back garden as the people pull the wire, the world was leveled in a blaze of fire. Though my heart bore the line that grew monsters inside, I turned off the radar, let go of my pride. And the rivers run red though the earth turns its head. There's a murder of crows on the West River bed. And in your arms I survived, onto your lies, in the silk of your company, grown wings butterfly. Through the crease cracking line, or in the mornings of time, if my heart's in your hands, then who's holding mine? If my heart's in your hands, then who's holding mine?
So that's a song called Red Rivers from Barry Locke, who joins me now in the studio. Barry, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. So tell us about that song now. What's the story behind Red Rivers?
Red Rivers came around, it's basically when I was beginning to plan my exit from Ireland. I was always wanting to go to London, and I wrote a song called One Will Make the Jump to kind of spearhead this whole conceptual project I had imagined for myself, where I would have a narrative. And so the second song in that is Red Rivers, where it's the journey across. Mm-hmm. And because it's not interesting enough to just have an airplane, which is where I went on, but I decided to imagine this whole process where it's this little ship caught in the tendrils of the ocean on the way across, and it's all very piratey and Celtic themed to match the bow of the ocean waves as they go dum 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 dum. So I quite like the imagery that created. So then all the lyrics kind of pertain to this person caught in adrift on their way across the ocean, trying to navigate this stormy sea, which is London, essentially.
So you're based in London now, but
yes.
Your journey started in your hometown of Bangor, and that's where we first met.
Yes,
in a shopping centre in Bangor.
Yes, yeah, it was the Bangor FM Search for a Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was years and years ago, and I still worked in the coffee shop, and on my lunch break I was allowed to audition, and then when it came to performance day, it was in the middle of the main foyer, just beside the coffee shop. I came and I did a Hallelujah really badly on guitar, but I came third, so it was okay.
And then fast forward about another 10 years maybe, and you ended up in another talent show that I was judging then as well.
Yes, Loco Voco, yes. That was hilarious because at the time a friend of mine called Diona Doherty was doing the judging, and she mentioned that I should enter. And we were still very much involved in the comedy show FNT Live, and she suggested I take part, and I did. And then I went in not really knowing what to expect, or expecting not to get through at all, because I always struggle with my live performance. And I managed to clinch second place then and won £1,000, which I used to get to London.
Yeah. So was the plan always to go to London, or at some stage did you want to stay here and maybe work the circuit here?
Yes, well I tried here for maybe just under a year. I had tried to do the circuit in Bangor. I didn't venture much into Belfast because I don't drive and I was trying to keep it as local as possible. And whilst there were many opportunities in Bangor, it's obviously very easy for you to become like complacent about just the same sets and the same sort of songs that you play, and at the time I was piano based, and I was probably quite unique in the sense that most people are guitar.
Yeah.
But even I was feeling stagnant and stagnated by not being able to progress any further because I couldn't quite get to the next stage of gig level, and then I didn't drive and I didn't own any equipment, so I was constantly like renting from people, and it was just becoming like tiresome for everyone else as well as myself. And then we all studied in Chester, like University of Chester, for 3 years, and I did drama and theatre studies. And whilst I was doing that, I realised I could still compose, and I still composed all the music for most of the things that we took part in, which is how I got involved in F&T in the first place, because I do composition. And so I realised that my skill level, or the kind of range of things that I could do, was probably worth exploring more. So London felt like the right thing.
Yeah.
And it was during our time at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival that I realised that kind of life of going from one little project to the next was actually what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I needed the opportunities, of course, and there was loads of them in London, so I went directly there to get them.
So it probably was a big risk going to London, but it has seemed to have paid off. I mean, every time I look in your social media, you're busy.
Yes, yeah, it's going really well. I'm quite lucky that I've kind of lumped in with quite a few people who are supporting me and pushing me as well. And I've got a really excellent team at the minute, which are helping me kind of craft this whole idea of what Locke music actually is. And what I'm realising over time is that it can be many things, and it's multifaceted.
Yes, yeah.
And Locke music is only one aspect of it, where it's all my solo personal stories that I turn into music. But I'm also part of a writing collective called QC197, and we write for other artists as well. You know, so it's very engaging, and we get like briefed on what kind of song they would like, and that's really enjoyable to try and break down like what actually is necessary or what's needed. And I really enjoy like working to someone else's specifications a lot of the time.
It's kind of like the olden days when Neil Diamond and people like that were starting out in New York. All these songwriters lumped together in the Brill Building, and they were all writing for other artists before making it themselves, isn't it? Yeah,
it's very like that. It does feel very like the collaborative process, I think, is so useful, even just as a writer anyway. Like it's only through meeting someone else's ideas and in the halfway kind of point do you understand like why your idea isn't working, because theirs makes more sense maybe, and then you marriage them, and it's like so excellent when you can get it like solidly done. You're like, yes, we got there together, and it's really fun. That's the best bit.
So you've released a few singles already, and they've been well received, haven't they?
Yes, it's well enough, but so far so good. I mean, they're climbing steadily as they go, and I think most of that is really just about trying to get them to the right people, because the kind of genre aspect of the first 3 singles is very much folk driven, but it has an eclectic and anthemic pop feel, which I'm really enjoying. And the chart aspect of it is certainly very something I'm trying to aspire to in order to kind of get people to hear what I'm doing, and very much still narrative driven too, which is excellent, because I was always worried that aspect would get lost in the translation of it, from going from a singer-songwriter folk song into a chart song. But I've been working with a producer called Jack Early, who's based in London, and he's fantastic. He's really good at just helping me decide what kind of like the themes and what kind of decisions need to be made, and sometimes they're quite brutal, but they work, you know. And it's without him, I wouldn't be able to reimagine them in that way. So I'm very grateful that I got to work with him. He's a very good guy.
I know you've done some gigs in Belfast when you've been back this week. Is there more plans to come back and do some more?
Yes, yeah. I'm trying to configure this sort of program where I come back every 6 weeks or so, and trying to do some local gigs and some local like open mic kind of circuits, just to kind of reinsert myself into the kind of circuit. Because like when I left 5 years ago, whatever I had managed to build then has now gone, obviously, because I've left. So I have to kind of start again here, which I'm looking forward to doing, because Belfast is very much one of my favourite cities, and there's so much to it. And with everything that's happening now, there's so much more music than there ever was, and the people that are on the circuit now, like you've got like Nathan O'Regan, you've got Rachel McCarthy, and you've got like Stephen McCartney, all those amazing artists that come from Bangor and are able to like gig everywhere, and like those are the kind of people I want to be like assimilated with, essentially, because I feel so connected to them now, that I've like done some work with them or whatever, or met them at some stage in their journey, and it's all very engaging and very exciting, really. So
if people want more information, is there a website they can check out?
Yeah, I mean, my social media is a mess, but the best one I think is Instagram, which is just BarryLocke75 on Instagram. I'm very active on there because I like images and I like strong kind of visuals, essentially. The next one, of course, is Barry Locke Music, which is on Facebook, like Facebook / Barry Locke Music. And that will give you access to all of my posts anyway, which I share on Twitter and SoundCloud or Spotify and iTunes. Everything is on there, which is where you would find like a central hub of all the things that I'm actually doing.
You're going to do one more song before you go. What are you going to do this time?
I'm going to do Tombs. It was my first single back in February, and it's definitely my friends and family's favourite song that I've done, so I want to do a live version of that to kind of show people what it can sound like in a live setting.
Great stuff. Well, Barry, thank you so much for coming and joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Waiting, fading, fiery shackles and chains of containment. Baited, breathing, the light it plays in the shades of my temperament. In the darkness I can see what it's worth and what it'll never be. There's a black dog settling outside your room. Don't let your walls become your tomb. The sand and water, the bricks and mortar. Don't let your walls become your tomb. Canine in my body pores and past peripheries. Will I, won't I, tumble down the walls of my kingdom? In the darkness I can see for what it's worth and what it'll never be. There's a black dog settling outside your room. Too many days to cry, but what you gonna do? Oh, and sand and water, the bricks and mortar. Oh, don't let your walls become your tomb. Don't let your walls become your tomb. And don't close your eyes. Stay tonight. Will you? And dot your eyes and cross your T's with your eye. Light my two. There's a black dog settling outside your room. Too many days to kind, but what you gonna do? Oh, the sand and water, the bricks and mortar. Oh, don't let your walls become your tomb. Oh, don't let your walls become your tomb. Oh, don't let your walls become your tomb. Don't let your walls become your tomb.